Good morning, everybody. How are we all doing? I almost started earlier, like 8 a.m. my time or 8:30, because we have a really bad storm going on. But it seems to be so deep. Can you hear that? That's thunder. But yeah, it's wild out there. Not going to complain because we need the rain. Well, Lisa's in Oklahoma City. Yeah, it's been hot as hell. Yeah, I was looking on our local news. You guys, this whole storm missed you guys. Woo! It's been crazy. Hey, Tropicana, what's up, girl? Already right off the bat, look at Diva go. JSB is losing it over property being searched. That's not even her property. Not even her property. I got such a kick out of her last week. I woke up and I'm going through YouTube, like what's going on, and I see my thumbnail from last Wednesday's show. And I was like, and it showed like 50 people were watching. And I'm like, hold on. Like, I was just waking up. And I'm like, did I not shut the show down? Are there people still in there thinking that, like the show's still going on? That can't be. And then I saw it was Jody. I'm like, she used my thumbnail. And it said clearly Crime Lines and Lies. Boy, I laughed and laughed and laughed at that. I don't know why I found it so funny. I guess because I'm an idiot. All right, so you know what today is? It is Motab Monday. How's your metabolism doing? Let's take a second and tell everybody good morning. All right, so the Hatfield and McCoy camp, they really aren't too focused on Don and Candace. They don't really bring them up too much. I don't know if this is a way of trying to build trust with them, but they seem to be very laser focused on Jody and her son. Look at you, Nina. She's been a member for 31 months. Look at her go. If you want to become a member, try it. It is a lot of fun. I love our members' lives. I love the members tab, Discord, the whole 9 yards. All right, so they're like laser focused on Jody. And of course, not that you can blame her, she's pissed. I mean, she's super pissed about this. I mean, so pissed that she was sitting in her car a few days ago. I'm not sure what day the show was or when I came across it. And man, she was smoking them so fast. I was getting a stomach ache for her because she was in her car. And you could just see the smoke just all around her. And I was like, what on earth is she going to, what is she going to do? Mounts has been a member for 22 months. Look at Tina Kent. Love you long time, Tina. You guys are the best. Woo, woo. And then Ernie has been basically interviewing anybody that has Wi-Fi service. He's talked to Marlena. He had a long conversation with Fred. We're all just like, our minds are just going everywhere. So let's go ahead and find out what's in your metabolism.
I don't know about Jackie Dog. I've just heard about him. I don't know about Jody Stu. I've talked to Jody Stu time and time again. And every time she talks to me, her story has changed.
Like in how?
Okay, like, for instance, like, she said that she was down on the bottom after she heard somebody scream or whatever. She was never at the bottom of that driveway. I drove down there faster than she could fucking fly.
Okay. So she said. So the scream, of course, is out of the question now, right? There was no scream, right?
There's no scream, dude. She's maced all that shit up. Why? I can't lie. It's not in my metabolism.
Mm-mm. Not in her metabolism. I'm just a farm lady, said Brooks. Can you believe I got kicked out of Lisa K's chat? Because someone found her secret page and she got Ernie's brother to tattoo her name on his neck. What? Oh my goodness. Wow. They say there's somebody for everybody. I just always say they're, probably the best catches aren't in the state pen. Way to go, Lisa. So here, Candace, this is great, man. That made my day. So Candace, of course, is saying there was no scream. Jody was not by the road. Jody was not outside. But then she goes on Prayer Garden. It's totally different.
Okay.
Now, if she was standing down there, was that after Summer had came up missing?
I don't know when she got down there. I just know when I drove down to my mom's truck, she was down there.
Okay.
Was she already looking, or was she doing something different?
She was just standing on the corner.
Very, very interesting.
Right.
Was it surprising, you coming down the drive knowing your daughter?
Yes, because usually Jody Sue don't walk around. Why? I can't lie.
Mm-mm. Not in her metabolism. You can forget that business. So right there, we have two different stories, but Hatfield and McCoy, they are laser focused on Jody Poo. Okay, so you hear Kent telling Ernie that there was no scream. Jody wasn't outside. So just, forget it. No Jody. You go a couple of months later, or maybe it was before. I don't know the timing of when she talked to Benny in Prayer Garden. And then she was just standing on the corner. She's just standing on the corner. Normally she don't walk around, but she's just standing on the corner. And I'm like, okay. All righty. Hey, welcome back, Kiki. Kiki got her membership back. But Jody is going to die on that hill. That she heard a scream. Let's look at it. This is from WJHL.
Lives across the street from a neighboring property. On mirroring mountains, together they can be described as sentinels, which sit high over Ben Hill Road. The night Summer went missing, the neighbor swears that she and her two children heard a scream shortly before they joined the search for a now missing Summer Wells.
It's there, but you want to forget.
On the watch and hypervigilant. That's how Jody Sue Brown was the very day Summer Wells went.
Hypervigilant. She said because of the tree trimmers. That will never make sense to me because tree trimmers do not make me hypervigilant. It might be a little annoying hearing their chainsaws, but I don't feel the need to be outside watching their work progress. I just don't. But that's her story. She's sticking to it. That's it.
Missing.
There's no TV, no noise at all.
Jody Sue was in her cabin with her teenage kids, 19 and 14.
Would you call it a cabin? Because I thought it was basically a pop-up camper. I don't know. Tomato.
Waiting for anything.
We were kind of hyper alert because of property things that had happened the day before. So we were listening for noise. Everything was kind of...
She will not get off of the Jackie Dobbs thing because of some things that happened the day before. Like old Jackie Dobbs was out there stirring up the tree trimmers and looking for a kid to kidnap. She's just going to keep on. She's just going to keep on with that.
quiet.
The sale brought a plethora of people to their door, confused about which piece of land was for sale, leading to a dispute of property lines.
While we were out at one point doing survey lines, and there was a flash of a car that went up Candace and Donnie's driveway, something about it struck me wrong.
She and her family next heard a truck door slamming and dismissed it as their neighbors. The next sound was harder to justify. About an hour and a half before Summer is thought to go missing, Jody Sue, her son, and her daughter heard something far more suspicious. A scream.
Stopped all three of us cold.
Her daughter was the first to go to the cabin door. Then all three were there, listening still.
We heard just this kind of shrill, almost animalistic scream.
Animalistic, but not an animal.
Knew it was, wrong. It wasn't a dog. It wasn't an animal.
That vigilance.
Well, I mean, we know the difference between a child screaming, an adult screaming, and a coyote, barking at the moon or whatever you want to call it. So that's just kind of even dumb to bring it up. Okay, you heard a scream about an hour before it was reported Summer was missing. Okay, personally, me, I would not have told John Q. Public that. I wouldn't have. I mean, I wouldn't do any of the things that Jody's doing. True story. I just wouldn't. I would be scared for my own safety. I would be scared for my children's safety. I would be scared for the whole 9 yards. You have a child that went missing that lived like right by you, just like right across the road. I would have given whatever information I had to the police, and that's it. But she has put herself smack dab in the middle, and we know there's been a lot of different stories, changing stories, a lot of inner fighting and stuff like that. And, they just keep saying that scream is not substantiated. I'm like, okay.
Kicking into overdrive. Jody Sue and her son went out to look for the source of the scream.
My son and I decided to go out, look and see what we could see. We went back onto the bank, didn't see anything, didn't hear anything.
They went on with their evening. The kids returned to being kids. Jody Sue headed down her driveway around 6 to tend to flowers.
And at this point, I start hearing Candace hollering for Summer. And then my brain immediately went, scream earlier, this, uh-oh.
Jody Sue was the first to hear those calls and the first to join the search for Summer.
I dropped my purse. I tried to yell up at Candace. I was like, I'm looking, and I started looking.
Jody Sue searched one side of a creek, Summer's brothers the opposite side.
And you gave statements to the police, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Jody Sue had been interviewed many times by investigators, bringing up the scream often. But the sheriff doesn't believe the scream is related to the disappearance of Summer Wells.
She's been interviewed numerous times by not only my agency, but the TBI and the FBI, and we don't find anything with that complaint or information related to this case.
Jody Sue wishes she could go back to just a short time before Summer disappeared and before the scream she believes was Summer.
Wish every day that when I heard that scream, I hadn't tried to dismiss it.
Referencing the work of the FBI, TBI, and his own deputies, Hawkins County Sheriff Ronnie Lawson reiterated in an interview the same week as Jody Sue's that investigators have found absolutely no proof that an abduction has taken place. In the Beach Creek community, Ansley Daniel, News Channel 11.
No abduction. Lawson said we've talked to her many times. So is the TBI. Okay, so it's not like she's not willing to talk to law enforcement. As we know, the ones that don't want to talk to them are Dawn, Candace, and Grandis. They're the ones that are not forthcoming, and for some reason, there are a few people out there that say they don't blame them. Go in, get questioned, and say, I need an attorney. Come on. That's crazy. Now, here's a question I'm going to ask all of you. Running Buck said Jody has hurt Summer's case and has not helped it. What do you all think? Has Jody helped this case at all? Or do you think she's just been a distraction? I want to hear from you. All right, so this was clipped from Jody's channel. Criminal got it, where she said that Candace told her she better change her story.
This was released by Jody Sue quite a while back, but I do believe it's worth to have a second look at, since it's kind of a big deal when the mother of a missing child tries to make the neighbor change her story about when she last saw her daughter before she went missing. Let's have a listen.
Because I'm not lying and I have no reason to lie. And I'm not going to change the fucking story for anybody. And I know the last place I saw Summer. And, you know, but after all these months, to ask me to change my story, you know, I don't. And for that one piece that.
Now, only Jody can answer this. When Candace told her to change her story, did she immediately call 800 TBI Find and tell them I had a convo with Candace? She told me I better change my story. That would be very interesting to know.
And I don't get it because, like, that was something others had already let on mine. I mean, others had seen Dawn in the shower and knew of him being in the shower Summer. So when I said it, maybe it's just that they thought it held more weight than other people, like, say, Prayer Garden or Jenna or all these others. But, you know, for some reason it was taken as, and that's the piece they wanted me to change, from a winking nod at money in her teeth, which also line up with the messages released by Cher, if those are real, because you have to doubt around that, can't. But the date and time line up with what, you know, all that. So it's really screwed up situation.
Why do you think Candace would ask Jody?
Why would Candace tell her to change her story? Was she telling her quit talking about Dawn in the shower? I believed Jody Sue. I believed True when she said it. I believed Jenna when she repeated that that's how they that's a ritual of theirs. I believed it. Jody said because she said it carried more weight. It would be interesting to know, did Candace tell Jenna not to repeat that? When the interviews with Mama Bear came out, where True and Allie were talking, did she reach out to True and Allie and say, you need to quit talking about that now? Or is it only Jody that was told that she better change her story? I would love to know, because that would tell me a lot. All right, so of course this was clipped from Jody's channel, where she says this is her explanation why Summer is gone. As you know, the closed captions have a little hard time keeping up. So just bear with me.
A notification popped up from Michelle After Dark. And this is a creator, you know, and she's affiliated with another group, sort of, but it's one that my bestie has watched well before this for other cases. And so after my bestie, a couple months ago, and told me to watch this lady, I have kind of watched Michelle After Dark's videos. Bestie's not wrong. The dogs running in the field, always pretty relaxing. So I kind of keep an eye on her videos and watch Michelle After Dark most of the time.
Oh, by the way, I'm not going to argue with anybody on that. I see some of you in here talking about Jody has, she has a sad backstory. She does. She did not have a good upbringing. I wouldn't say that her relationship with Andy was anything fairy tales are made out of, which is another reason to probably not put herself out in the volunteer herself for the limelight to make things worse.
Anyway, the other day, and honestly, she's one of the only ones I really see that seems to try to puzzle things out in a logical way and doesn't do it in a way that's really, it's unlike the other ones. And so, anyway, she actually seems to be trying to puzzle things out. But the other day, she had posted a video where Dawn and others had, said blatantly that, from very early on, that Summer was not inside, even though that story keeps changing. And I'll tell you that, without how or why, that I believe that to be true as well. Summer was not inside of that house. She was outside.
Okay, Jody said Candace's story, BS. Summer was not inside that house. She was outside. Now, it was told to me that Marlena said to Ernie that she was told by Candace that Candace was inside cooking dinner and that Summer was on the swing. How many damn stories are we going to get out of Candace? Planting flowers, laundry, doing dishes, walked her over to the porch. Summer, 2 minutes later, she asks the boys, "Where's your sister?" She went downstairs to play with her toys. And Candace had to check right there, right then. That does not sound normal to me. And I don't mean normal for Candace. I mean for anybody. No one's going to worry about their child playing with their toys in their room. That's crazy. That's crazy.
In this morning's video from Michelle After Dark, she's puzzling over why Candace would have said this and the other, why she locked herself into, and I mean, she's not far off, and it's things I've stated in my videos very early on. In this, I think the same thing Michelle does. It was to look better than, but also because the CPS visit was the next day, and also because Michelle's not wrong, and it's also something I've stated in my early videos, that this has happened prior with one of the other kids, and I think that maybe Candace thought all the neighbors would find Summer like the other one had been found fairly quickly. And I think she lied because she thought, well, if the cops do come, well, Summer will still be found pretty quickly if the neighbors don't, and it was one of those, also didn't really want to say that the boys were up there and stuff to try to protect them, because I think she thought that Summer would be found fairly quickly.
Okay, so she mentioned CPS. We've heard about this for years, that they were there the day before. Now, I believe they had been there before because Dawn said something about how they had like a manager, a supervisor with them that was looking around the house, looking at the eaves, looking all around, like really checking the house out. Now, he wasn't home on that Monday. That was the day that he fired Dudley. But that was the day that he was told by Candace that CPS was there, and they're getting real. But Dawn tells Fred and Sheila from Hatfield and McCoy Museum that nope, they were checking on Jody Sue and she fed them a bunch of bullshit and they decided just to go bother the Wells family. It doesn't work that way. Come on. And if Jody Sue did say something to CPS, well, good, I'm glad she did. But at this point, I don't think she ever did.
Yeah, oh, well, we might be in a little extra trouble, but not much when CPS shows up tomorrow for the other shit. And, yeah, maybe we'll leave the other kids alone. I think there's several reasons why she tried to make it look like whatever at first. And I think locking herself into maybe a timeline that's not right. And if the scream holds, if my timeline holds, then that would be, 430, 442 to 608, about an hour and a half difference from, the time she vanished. And I think Michelle and half the world are right. I think Candace did not have eyes on her for that long, had really no clue where she was at. I think it does boil down to that. And I mean, honestly, been better off saying that from the get-go to a cop and going, hey, my kid was playing outside. We live in Illinois. That would not have been unusual, quite frankly. But I think that she wanted to present the best possible, No
one's going to say anything about a mom that went inside to go pee or to start a load of laundry and your kids are playing in their own yard. They live out in the middle of nowhere, up on basically a freaking mountain. What are the odds? And we already know there was no abduction. There was no abduction. There was no animal attack. Those dogs would have been all over that. Hell, even the Wells' dogs would have been all over that.
No, because DCS was shut up the next day. There could be many reasons for it, but that's always been my theory behind it. But still yet, because of other things that were said to me in the first few minutes as Candace and I initially made contact at the bottom of the driveway and right there at the creek area, and other things that were said to me that day. The puzzle goes far deeper for me, and especially with what's being done lately as far as that Facebook video chat that happened between Candace and I, and her wanting me to change my story and an audit money, and that bullshit call to the feds that have her and Keys written on it, and then that hoax on the Hill dinner and all these things. I mean, it makes me think all kinds of things. However, that I didn't initially think in the beginning necessarily, and it makes me doubt all kinds of things. And there's things I'm still not going to say, touch on, give specifics on, but I will say enough to say that Dawn ain't, and I hate that because, obviously there's some bus throwing under there and all kinds of weirdness and abuse on that level, but, yeah, Summer was not.
I couldn't live by people that I've seen or I believe are abusive to their children. They want to fight with each other. I could care less. Could care less. But if there's a child that's unusually hungry, I would have a big problem with that. If there's a child that has like weird bruises on them, and you know what places we're talking about, I would have a huge problem with that. And what's always got me about all the people on the hill, it's just kind of like another day in the neighborhood. I would be bawling my eyes out if I was Jody thinking about this. I would. I would have such immense guilt just knowing that I'm a stone's throw away from the hill they live on, as in the Wells, and that I know all of these things and didn't do anything. She could have said, hey, can I take Summer out for the day? And she could have taken her to the ER and said, you need to call a social worker right now to look this girl over. There's a million things she could have done. But she has to live with that. She does. See, that's another reason why I would have never put myself in the limelight.
In the house. I think Candace did lock herself into a timeline. I think 90% of that bullshit with the flowers. I mean, yeah, I'm with Michelle. I think details were given to make everything look better, like the piece of candy and the this and that, whatever the hell else. And from things I know that, like I said, I'm not going to say, I don't think anybody knew, except for one or two, that I don't think anybody had any freaking clue where Summer actually was, but I think that Candace thought she'd be found in short order, just like mentioned forever ago in other videos about the other one being lost at one point and everybody having to find them, and they were non-verbal at the time. I think she thought it would be Summer found in short order by the neighbors or by police, and it wouldn't be that big of a deal, but it was that big of a deal very shortly. And then I think even this continuing bullshit could just be normal behavior patterns, right? For them. Like, because dog dumping's no big fucking deal over there. Losing kids is no big.
I'm going to go ahead and give Jody a round of applause for that. It is a normal pattern of behavior, asterisk, for them. Dog dumping is not a big deal to them. They're just like, oh, look, we got a new puppy, instead of calling the SPCA or whatever they use there, saying, there's a puppy dog here. There's got to be a mama somewhere. They don't do that. They don't do that. Not properly educating and feeding your children. That's just not a button that clicks for them. It's just not.
Big fucking deal over there. Kind of used to that shit, I guess, and then at a certain point, there's no, like, to them, they're basic people, so to them, it's like, well, yes, Summer's probably gone, and one way or the other, and so we might as well profit and play games that, entertain us, and pranks and calls and all this other bullshit, and no big fucking deal, right? And now them, the pranks, bullshit, the money matters more, maybe, in a way. And they know there's really no chance in hell of the other one's ever coming back. And, Summer's, so continued pattern, even if they didn't have anything to do with it. But I'm only really saying things here before that I've said months ago in other videos that are harder for people to piece and part together because, hour or 2 hours, my jump in my spiderweb brain. But, but I do have questions even still, like you think, into the driveway, and that's been proven that it could be on videotape. But like I said, that sound to me from the main road also comes that same way and sounds almost exactly like where that one does. That freaking cow, And that cow's all the way on the freaking main road, and there's still a damn manhole cover I'm looking for. But I can't go down there, I don't know where that's located at, but I know it's a damn circular one. And it has to be in the grass. Anyway, and that could be just as simple as somebody.
She doesn't get to talk about money, okay? None. She does not get to complain about money. For one, it's not her business what goes on with other people's finances. It's just not her business. She want to have an opinion? Hey, go ahead. But who is she to say that someone else? She was all over the place and they were flashing her Cash App. I think at one point she had a Venmo or something. It was all over the damn place. So, there was like a thing going on. I think it was on Doug, No Thanks Investigates, when he was on YouTube. And, they were raising all kinds of money to get her a tiny house. And they raised a bunch of money. A bunch. She doesn't get to talk about money. She doesn't even get to have an opinion on it.
Passing, dope off at 3 or 4 in the morning. I don't know. There's so many weird things that I know and I don't say, and I'll just. But either way, Michelle After Dark, I don't think she's far off the mark about why Candace, no matter which timeline. There was definitely eyes off Summer for a while. Whether my timeline holds or whether it's more fitting with Candace's, but I don't think it is. And I think there was eyes off Summer for quite a while.
No one's timeline is going to fit Candace's. No one's. No one. Candace claims she came home and she had a busy afternoon playing Susie Homemaker. She fails to mention that she went down to Fred's, saw him, Laura, and Chad Arnold. She fails to mention that she was seen at a convenience store. We don't know what went on between all of that. And then she realized that Summer was missing and she called Dawn. Okay, now we get to someone else who's very, very involved in Summer's case. Not in her disappearance, just someone that talks a lot about what went down June 15th, 2021. Some people hang on every word Fred says. Some people say, I don't see how he remembers anything because he was sort of in the throes of addiction at the time. Fair enough. He was. Now, he's been speaking to Ernie, and his wife, Ziggy, put it on her channel. So we're going to go through part of it, and you tell me what you think. I know a lot of people are pissed at the Hatfield and McCoy Museum channel. Well, the way I look at it, they sparked a new interest in Summer's case, and she needed that.
Hello.
Hey, Fred, what's going on?
Not much. sitting around.
I heard that, man. I heard that. How's everything going, though?
Everything's actually going pretty good, man. Doing
That's good, man. That's good. I bet you're glad to get out of that area.
Do what?
I said, I bet you're glad to get out of that area.
Hell, you get used to it out of wild nuts.
Yeah, man. Whew, I don't know, man. I
It's
tell
a lot
you.
different than people think once you get down in there. And, you know, I mean, outside person going in, it's different too than a person that's lived there and knows everybody around from the area and know what to expect from each one, you know?
Right. So, you know, in this interview, man, if you don't want to answer something, you know, you don't have to. There's no pressure, you know that, right?
I know.
He's been interviewed 1.5 million times. He knows how it works.
Okay.
And you can record it because I'm recording, so I'm just letting you know.
Okay.
I always
cool,
let
man. That's cool.
everything, my stuff is recorded and all my screen stuff, messages, everything's always documented, so.
Okay, so now let me ask you a question. Now, I know you're recording everything now. Do you want me to play this on my live afterwards or not?
I don't care. I just didn't,
Okay.
I just didn't want to be up on the live and being distracted from what you may be trying to ask or you're trying to get the point across or whatever, you know.
Right. And I feel that, you know, that's a good way to say that and do that too as well, you know.
I mean, because
there's a lot.
I mean, you can always go back and edit it a little bit if.
Annette said there's a lot of commercials today. I don't get commercials because I have YouTube Premium. Hence why when I replay something on here, there's no commercial like to break me up and what I'm doing. What's going on your side with commercials? I'm telling you right now, I have nothing to do with that. So please don't think that I'm planning commercials to mess up your day. That is all YouTube. That is how they make their money. That is how they advertise. And I'm sure it is annoying.
Certain name, I mean, because when I'm go up on somebody's panel or whatever, I don't know what I'm allowed to say, keep them getting their channel or whatever, and don't know about the doxing or whatever, and you know what, I don't know nothing about it. And
as long as I put up the right things and everything, you say whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
You know, I want you to be free and just feel comfortable.
Bring or send me voice clips, everything. Supposedly some are talking and all that and stuff. And I mean, I had to turn it into TBI, and he was well aware that I was going to turn it into TBI because at first he wanted the revenge towards Playboy because of his dad being his Playboy supposedly had killed his dad for something. I don't know the details. He didn't go in on that. But anyway, I thought, well, I mentioned something about some reward money, and then he could make him feel more comfortable talking, and he was got to want that reward money too, you see.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like,
100%.
well, you do know that everything between me and you has to be turned into TBI for you to collect that, don't you? He's like, yeah, and I'm all for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when we started working on stuff. I mean, he would go to the motel and stuff, and supposedly his girlfriend was the woman that actually sat with the kids a lot, especially when Playboy was going.
Oh boy, we're back to that. And when he says Playboy, he's not talking about Hugh Hefner. I don't know Playboy's real name, but I have heard that his dad is kind of an affluent attorney and sometimes has a judgeship to fill in. I don't know if it's true. Just like you guys, I hear things. These people and their freaking nicknames.
Went to Atlanta get the big shipments.
And when you say shipments, you're talking about like drugs and stuff like that.
Yes, getting his drugs, yes.
Okay. So you know the FBI searched the 3500 block of Van Hill Road,
Yes.
which is your family members,
Yes.
correct?
Yes, it is.
During that search, did they unearth a vehicle? Did they uncover a vehicle and bring a vehicle out of the sand or dirt?
Not as I know.
Okay.
They was more focused on. I mean, there's more focused on the pond somewhat, and then more inside of the home, from what I'm understanding, and more like looking for. They was going through his bank accounts, his wheels, everything like that. That makes me think they was looking for some kind of money transaction. That's what it tells me, you know, from what I'm understanding.
Okay. So it's more of a transaction kind of thing. They're trying to find.
That's what
money.
I'm understanding from the way they was talking. But I was told that they did find something, but it wasn't some. But like, it could have been a phone. It could have been.
Okay, he said they did find something, but obviously it wasn't Summer. Now, there was another interview a few months previous to this that they did go through the house. They did do some digging in the yard. They did go through the pond, but that they were also digging around where they have pigs. Okay. I know a lot of people still think, and it's okay, think what you want, that possibly an animal grabbed her. Animals make messes, big messes, and the dogs would have easily found her, as in the canines that are used by law enforcement. Like I said, even the Wells dogs could figure that one out, all right? And they would have been barking like crazy because we know they were there that day. They weren't on no vacation or whatever craziness Dawn was trying to convince us of. It's so stupid. Insanity. Absolute insanity. So now we're saying, and he might have forgotten what he said before, because he said that his understanding was that they were looking at where they have all these hogs.
Anything, you know, I don't know.
Yeah. So do you think that there's so I'm on the deal with the Morrison Cemetery
Yes, I know that.
right now. What is your opinion on that?
I personally wouldn't think she would be there, but anything's possible. You know that. I mean, only one that knows exactly where she's at, the ones that done it. So, with that being said, I mean, a lot of us is just guessing at where she could be.
Right, I understand that.
But in way I would think, if it was an accident or something, and somebody was trying to cover something up, most likely they would go to an area that they know well. Most likely they're not going to go to an area that they know that there's lots of cameras, or a place that they've never been to, not knowing if there's cameras or anything. Most likely they'll go to a place that they've been to many, many times, and the real feel safe as that.
Okay, I'm going to take what he's saying literally. Like he said, I wouldn't think she'd be at the cemetery. And of course, Ernie said he's still working on the cemetery thing. Enjoy. But Fred goes, well, I mean, anything's possible, but the only ones that know are the ones that done it. Done it tells me he doesn't believe she's alive. Okay? And ones tells me I'm taking him literally. I'm taking him at his word. By the way, I'm not picking on Fred. I'm not saying Fred's a bad guy or anything like that. I'm just taking his insight literally. Ones means more than one person. And I've always thought more than one person's responsible for this. I go back to what Scott Roush said from the behavioral panel. He thinks this has got Grandis written all over it.
Area to dispose of something. That would be my opinion of it.
Right.
And see,
Understood,
if you
right.
come out of there are cameras all over Ben Hill. That's what a lot of people don't understand. There's cameras that ain't even been mentioned. But see, like from Thompson's, where you turn over Simpson's back to Beach Creek Road, my understanding, they wasn't never no cameras. But from like Simpson Lane, you got the Thompson's camera, and then on Simpson Lane, up next to where the gate is, where you turn at the end, there's a camera right there on the right. And then if you go on up Ben Hill Road, I had 5 cameras, and then my mom and dad had surveillance cameras on the house. Then you've got Richard Goley that's got like 5 cameras, Ed Redmond that's got dozens of cameras, and then there's cameras even on back the holler and stuff, you know.
Right.
Hence why the TBI knows how many times Candace left after coming back home, after their silly morning. Getting Grandis's knee looked at, picking up Hunter, going for a quick swim at Warriors Park, going to the hippie house, going to Sonic, all the above, Walgreens, the grocery store. They had a very busy morning. After a morning like that, I would be home for the day. Because when the TBI said to her, and she mentioned it, I can't remember what channel she was on. She might have been talking to Ernie. That she was pretty pissed off. When the TBI said, well, we know you left at least 2 more times that day. Fred's talking about all the damn cameras that are all the way through there. His parents have cameras. He has cameras. He's mentioning people by name.
And
So you do believe in that interview, and I know what interview you're talking about, because when he says you may not even be alive now, Candace does kind of look at him kind of funny
like. Fuck, you know? I mean, pardon my language, but that's the way she looks at him, like with her mouth and the stuff just dropped, like, really?
Right. And I know what you're talking about on that. So do you believe that
Exactly, Aggie. The day after CPS comes up on the hill and let them know we're coming back. The day after, suddenly, she gives a shit about her mom's knee. Let's face it, she had a lot bigger things going on. But she gets up knowing that CPS could show up anytime. She knows what they want to talk about. She knows who they want to see. But she gets Grandis up. Oh, Mother. Oh, Mother, we must get you medical attention. Oh, Mother, your knee. Mother, you can't live without your knee. Mother, I can't bear to stand looking at you. Limping. Oh, Mother, the pain. The pain must be excruciating. Oh, Mother. Oh, Mother. Let's not worry about cleaning up the house, possibly working on getting a damn attorney because you know the government's breathing down your neck. Oh, no. Let's go get Twisted Tea with Hunter and take Oh, Mother to the hospital.
maybe that this did happen? Like what? I mean, do you think it was over like the $60,000 that people say, or that he was in debt? Do you know anything about that?
Only thing I know is what Dennis said at Knoxville about. He said it was Don still owed like 40-some thousand at that point. Supposedly Don was still taking money.
Okay.
So I don't really know.
So when you say taking money, I mean, how's he getting money? I thought he was like buying drugs or something and got in debt.
Well, he got quite a bit of dope, him and somebody else. And from what I understand, it was Andy Bernard and Don Wells. And this is why Andy don't like me, but I really not got no problem with Andy. All I'm going on is what is referred to me that I didn't even know nothing about.
Right.
And then it's hard to put all this together.
Bingo, Teddy Wood. Teddy Wood said CPS doesn't tell you when they're coming back. Well, sometimes they do. When my best friend was getting guardianship of her grandson, they would be like, all right, well, we're going to be there on Thursday. But I mean, that was for something totally different. When they're investigating, no, they showed up unannounced on the 14th, June 14th, 2021. They made it clear they were coming back. Dawn told Clyde Trent they were coming back on the 16th. So the day after, knowing that they could show up at any time, Candace decides Twisted Tea, her mother's knee, and government cheese were more important.
Well, let me ask you a question. How come, everybody's mentioned, people, they've mentioned the Morrison Cemetery. You said things about the Morrison Cemetery. There's Marlena said things about the Morrison Cemetery. It's just Andy Bernard said stuff about the Morrison Cemetery.
I mean, the only thing I said about it was it's a possibility, going by what I heard of Andy and all them, Andy and more or less Marlena talking about,
Right.
And
so how?
Christ on a bike. Dig it up. Shit or get off the pot. Hell, I've already talked to the funeral home. I can't tell you all the people I called that day. Go ahead and dig it up. If the family has told you they have no problem with it, what's holding you back? Andy? Come on, get out there and help Ernie. Start a digging.
How involved was
that was just online where I heard that. But far as when I was in jail everywhere, I've never heard nobody mention anything about Morrison Cemetery. Everybody when I was locked up and stuff, it was talked about a lot in there, and everybody said that she was sold.
PG keeps saying that Candace got CPS for abusing Summer at school. Summer wasn't in school. Summer didn't go to preschool. Summer went to Sunday school. I mean, what is she talking about? She wasn't due to go to kindergarten until months after. She just disappeared. The only thing that I can equate to them showing up is whatever happened with Marlena Crawford's daughter. That was a big ass deal to the point that Grandis had to take Marlena's daughter back in a hurry. So whatever she said to Marlena's aunt seems to fit with the timeline of them showing up. Because it's damn sure not about BB guns and dogs. Nobody would report that shit.
Pretty much.
Okay, hold on one second, Fred. Let me see what let me make sure we're getting this and everything. Let me make sure I want to make sure everything's good. Okay, so it is. So let me make sure here. Yeah. You had mentioned that while you was in jail, everybody had mentioned that she was sold.
Yes, that's what 99% of them was saying in jail. Nobody said that they thought it was an accident or nothing. Everybody was saying, oh, they pretty much sold her. Whether, I don't know if they meant really sold her or owed or what for,
So could she have been used to settle a debt maybe, or to give extra time for an extension?
Well, I was told through Dennis Smith that she was just supposed to be in hell until Don and them brought the money and paid, and then they would get her straight back. But when the transaction was made, when she was brought from point A to point B, Don called and tried to get out of having to pay, thought that if by him calling her in missing, that they would get scared and just bring her back and drop her out somewhere.
Really?
Yeah, that's what Dennis said.
And then they had to do what they had to do. Do you, or did he even mention what they did with her after that?
Well, she was still in Knoxville, last I heard. When I turned that information in, she was still supposed to be in Knoxville.
They bring up a lot of Atlanta and Knoxville connections. That's one thing that never changes. Knoxville comes up a lot. I have put the link down for anybody that wants to come up and visit with me, because I would love to know what you all think.
And the voice clips and stuff that he brought to me and stuff, or sent to my phone that I had took to the TBI of Summer and stuff talking. She talked like she was actually happy where she was at. That's why it kind of surprised me, because she was talking about her daddy coming seeing her every 2 weeks and stuff. And then you got Dawn about the same time going online talking about how long Summer's hair's got.
Now, what kind of AI shit are these people doing? What in the hell is going on? They're sending voice clips to Fred, who did the right thing and sent him to TBI, that these voice clips are of Summer saying that she is so happy and that she sees her dad every 2 weeks. OMG. I would love to hear that shit.
Then I asked DJ, I said, well, what's her hair look like now? And he said, well, it's down about her shoulders and they've got a perm in it and it's dyed red.
What the hell?
Wow.
The fudge? Her hair's down to her shoulders. They permed it and it's red. And she's holed up somewhere in Knoxville and she sees her dad every 2 weeks. Holy F. I can't even say the full word. And the F word is probably one of my favorite words in the world. Damn it. Damn, this makes me mad.
That's crazy, man.
See, it's hard for me to dismiss this Knoxville stuff because there's so much to it that even I questioned DJ about with like a milk jug video and stuff. I'm like, well, they're saying she's dead right here on this milk jug video. He said, no, most likely they sedated her for the transaction, so she will not know who actually took her from point A to point B.
Really?
Yeah. And then I'm thinking, who's mentioned sedation? And he's already brought Andy's name up.
Really?
I don't know why Ernie's saying really. Of course he knows. Okay, so they brought up Andy with the sedation. Well, the person that dropped that bomb on us was Jody. Jody was the one that said that Andy was giving things so that they could sedate little girls. She looked pretty sedated in that milk jug video.
And see, I don't know if you need to put this on YouTube or not, but I want to just discuss what I was told by Dennis.
Go ahead.
He said that Don and Andy owed money on the debt. And Don agreed to let Summer go and stay, or them take Summer, but Andy had to be the transport. And he said a son, he didn't say whether he's Don's son or Andy's son, but I'm assuming he's talking about Andy's son. He said the son took Summer to the road, and then she was passed between 3 vehicles in a short period of time. And I'm thinking, okay, what vehicles did I see that day? What vehicles did I see? Well, then I'm thinking the odd ones was only ones I hadn't seen before was the Mississippi tag, the blue truck, and the white HHR. And then I'm thinking, well, if she was brought off to, and then see, Andy he won't allow, he was not on the road, but he is on camera, and law enforcement even made a joke about they'd asked him, and he denied being on the road and didn't act like he didn't even know what he drove, and they showed him a picture, and they was laughing about how he acted when they showed him the picture, you know, of him being on the road. But the 3 vehicles, he said,
I will never, ever understand why it's a big deal for someone to be on their own road any day of the week. Maybe he forgot his lunch. I don't know. We know he called Pruitt, and Pruitt's like, no, I don't need to talk to you. So he starts with the Fred said, and he said, you can't believe anything Fred says. That's what Pruitt said. Not my words. That's Detective Pruitt's. I was on my road today. If a child goes missing, am I going to be a suspect? I would think not.
She was passed off in a short period of time between 3 vehicles. And but the Mississippi tag was supposed to have been checked out. The only one that wasn't checked out and ain't found was the white HHR and the blue truck that followed Andy out. So was it handed to Andy first, and then Andy handed her the blue truck, and then handed to the white HHR?
No.
That's
so
where I'm thinking.
During all this, so during all this and everything, did Dawn actually know what was going on, or Candace?
About the Knoxville stuff, I mean, they had to agree on.
No, I mean about why they're coming to get her and everything.
Yes, it was all set up. I'm assuming the Dunn text and all that is, because Andy was in holler at 3:47, the last time coming out by the lights camera. He was back at Zoomer's at 5:30 getting gas. Then Jody tried to play where I said, oh, Andy took off several days after that. Jody tried to put up a time card trying to show that Andy was at work that day, that week. And on June the 15th, on Tuesday, he showed he checked out, timed out on 12 a.m. and never checked back in.
So he works overnight? 12 a.m. is midnight. Or are they saying that he clocked out at 12 p.m., which would make sense because that's when people go to lunch, and then they clock back in? You know how many times I forgot to clock back in after lunch? I mean, Fred was home all day. Candace and Grandis had eyes on Summer all day long. Jody was home all day on high alert, Miss Vigilant. But they have such a hard-on for Andy. Why, I don't know. It always comes down to he does drugs like the rest of the effing neighborhood, and he was on the road that day. I don't get it. Let's say he was home at 12:30. Candace wasn't home at 12:30. She was still dicking around at the grocery store and stuff like that.
Wow.
On the time card that she tried to present as evidence that Andy had worked all the week, you see.
So Jody Sue. So what was does Jody Sue even have a part in this?
I think she's covering for Damien.
Oh, quite the little segue we have. Now Fred is saying he thinks Jody is covering for her and Andy's son, Damien. Isn't that wild? Because the Hatfield and McCoy Museum think the exact same thing. Now, let's just say Damien did something to Summer on June 15th. We're just saying. I'm not saying he did. Then you can go ahead and remove the entire cemetery theory. Damien's a kid.
Now, see, way I'm looking at it, if Andy was probably thinking, well, only way I can get by with this and not, if I get Damien to go up there and bring her to the road, then he can't say nothing. And then Jody can't say nothing because she knows she ain't going to incriminate her son. So it just ties all of them's mouth up, you see. And then
Damien, so you're saying Damien, the one that went to the Army?
Yes.
So you're saying that.
And when I was recording and stuff, what makes me think Jody didn't have no cameras at all on the 15th when I was recording when I first got down there?
Jody said Dawn stole the cards out of their cameras. Okay? And Cotton Candy, comment of the day, just lowered the boom on all of us. Mic drop, whatever you want to call it. Jody said she was sick that day and her son was having to help her. But then she was outside checking on flowers. They all three heard a scream, and then Summer was just gone. Huh. And it would be very easy for law enforcement to talk to Damien because he's in the military.
Recording this stuff. Damien walked down and brought a trail camera and asked Jody where to put it up. And she said, like a third tree up on the road.
Kimberly, thank you for reminding me. Yeah, with her purse. Makes all the sense in the world to me. Like when I go outside to water the roses, trim the roses, water the hibiscus, or whatever, I don't really feel a need to take my purse with me. No. I don't need any keys. I don't need my phone. Nothing like that. But first on the scene, Jody had to have her purse to check on flowers. Okay.
Right, which is a big pine tree. And he put it up and he disappeared. That's the only time you've seen him the whole time down there. He was like, he did not want to be seen, no nothing, no conversations with nobody, no nothing. But the daughter, she walked up and down the hill several times. I mean, in the 3 days I recorded and stuff.
So during you was so when you was working, so you're pretty much working with the TBI, correct?
Yeah. Well, mostly Hawkins County, the special tactics and drug task force, pretty much the same thing. Third Judicial Drug Task Force with Scott Stewart's team, pretty much.
Scott, okay. So, and is that so? Let me ask you. You know, Scott's taking office here in about literally 15 days, 16 days.
Yeah.
He's going to be in office.
Yeah. I think there's going to be a good.
Is that true? Because of course, I mean, he's the next sheriff. Because I also, one of you said in chat that he doesn't take office until November 1st. Ernie's saying 15, 16 days. So that would be September 1st. Sandy said, Brooks, you got me thinking. That's a dangerous thing. Maybe we should all get out an old purse and put our pruning shears, etc. in it. That actually is not a bad idea. Kind of have like a little women's toolbox.
Change.
You do?
Yep.
I have heard from other law enforcement officers from other counties that talk to, you know, the specific counties involved, that they will be questioning, arrest, and stuff made right off the bat.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. But see,
So,
Scott's team, when they first come to me and wanted me recording stuff, the main thing they wanted me hit on Don with was who he owed. Because they done knew about his oldest son that he tried to sell in Arkansas or wherever at that point. So it had to be in a database somewhere.
so when he went to Arkansas, he tried to sell his oldest son. Is that what you're saying?
Well, when him and Pam was together, wherever they lived, I don't know if it's Arkansas or where, but it was, I'm thinking it was Arkansas. But it was his very first son that he was standing on a street corner trying to sell or whatever.
Do you know how much he was trying to get out of his son?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just going by what I had heard, you know. But the law enforcement done knew about, because that's how I found out about Don trying to sell his first son, because they was like, okay, we need, if you agree to recording the stuff, because we didn't know Don's tried to take in, sell his other son, his first son, by his first wife. We need you to take and try to hit on Don any which way you can and try to find out who he owed.
Right.
And see, this is coming from Scott Stewart's team at first, so I don't know what their agenda is now, most likely.
So you know what they're going to hit the ground running with when it comes time, right?
Pretty much. I mean,
and it's going to be.
You know, I wondered myself, Grace. However, Nana for Life, she spoke to the new sheriff and she said that she felt very encouraged. She didn't speak about the conversation. She didn't say what they spoke about, but she said she was very encouraged and she has faith that he's going to do something.
By them done presenting that from day one.
Let me ask you a question. Would it be fair to say that
Broken Gothal said she wouldn't want to be under Lawson for 16 seconds. That's what his wife says.
they're going to arrest Candace because they know she will crack when put in the interrogation room?
Yeah, it would be fair if they would.
What? We only have 95 likes and 250 people in here? What is going on? Oh, that hurts my feelings. That hurts my feelings. Please hit the like. And look at that. Kimberly is gifting Crime Lines and Lives memberships. Way to go. Who got it?
Josh, and I named Josh, and he said no.
Well, there's this two that I know of in that area that got fed time around, that 15 years was Josh Stedman or Josh Davis. But way he was talking about all sleeved out with tattoos, all this, all that, that told me it was Josh Stedman he was talking about. But see,
wow.
You know what's ironic about that is, where the milk jug video was taken?
Okay.
On Merle Road, right there at the corner of Merle and Lone Star. He lives right there in that camper right on the corner.
Really?
Yes. That's where he.
Okay, so that would be another inaccurate statement that Lisa K. Ruetz has made. She keeps saying that video was made in April. I just let her run with her know-it-all stuff. I like Lisa. I get a kick out of her. She doesn't make me mad. the police don't have to tell you anything. They don't have to confirm shit, except for this person's missing. Okay? Everything else is part of their investigation. And so Fred is saying the milk jug video, that is where it was taken, and Josh Stedman lives right there.
But he's in pen now for his time.
Right. So, you know,
I mean, I don't know what he was referring to as at that person or whatever, but that's who I'm pretty sure he's talking about.
Right. So the feds, the feds have contacted you. Do they still keep contact with you, Fred?
I ain't never talked to the feds at all.
Okay, Hawkins County. Sorry about that.
To the FBI. I've just talked to mostly Hawkins County and the TBI.
Right, TBI, feds, TBI. What's TBI?
Most time I went, and only time I talked to the TBI was on the 16th. It was middle of the day. They come and took it and wrote everything down. The same thing as Hawkins County did on the evening of the 15th. You know, you had to give a statement, and they took a statement. You know, that's the only time I talked to them, other than when I went to Hawkins County to download my phone, and then they sent that guy from Knox County back to Hawkins County to download everything off my phone. And while he was on route, we was sitting there going over where the locations of the motels was, everything that, from what I understood through Dennis, where they was at, you know.
So when all that's happened and everything, like, wow, that's give me that's a new
but see, when
something new that
when I took that information, my phone in and stuff, and was giving them that information, I had another person with me that took me there. It actually, you said something about coming to Knoxville. You was gonna roll up or something other at Knoxville and try to interview me or something other, and I'm like, well, just meet me at Hawkins County because I got to turn this in anyway. And then
I'm going to go ahead and say Fred has blown his cover. If he was any way, shape, or form a criminal informant and was working for the drug task force under Scott Stewart, or trying to record Dawn, he's blown his cover. Like, nobody that could possibly be involved would ever want to talk to Fred. He said that he was trying to find out who Dawn owes money to. Dawn's not going to talk to him.
Well,
I remember that. Remember we talked about. Remember when we was talking about the hotels and the human trafficking, and I told you I knew where they're at. You remember how we talked about that?
Yeah. But
I remember that.
But see, when I was sitting there, and we was going over the maps and stuff, and identifying DJ Smith and all that, and because they putting the file together at that point, they had a file was putting it together, his mug shots, everything, and they didn't let on like they knowed where he was at, everything at that point. Whether they got up with him by or not, I don't know. But they was putting a file together and stuff, and they're like, I said something about Pruitt, and they're like, we ain't sending none of this on to Pruitt's desk because it's going in the trash. This here is not even going to touch Pruitt's desk.
Wow. So Detective Pruitt.
That was
right.
There's 5 investigators that was looking over the stuff, and we was discussing the maps and stuff. And then there was another guy sitting at the end of the table that was supposed to be in the sniper or something other for Hawkins County, the Special Tactics Unit. He was sitting there.
The SWAT, the Special Weapons and Tactics. Yeah. I think I know who you're talking about.
But yeah, they allowed that. They did not want none of that information at all.
Wanda said poor Fred has nothing to do with Summer disappearing. I think he's got a real good idea what happened. And I think it's better for him to be states away, considering he has admitted to informing agents at the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation and Hawkins County. What do they always say? Snitches get stitches. Snitches get ditches. I would keep a real low profile.
To go over Pruitt's death because they said that most of the stuff that was coming in was going straight in the trash. And evidently they thought there was something to this, or they went and took it as serious as they did that day. I was there for several hours. Of course, it took a while to get up there to download everything off my phone. And see, when they downloaded my stuff off my phone the first day Summer went missing and stuff, they wasn't nothing ever missing and nothing. But when I turned that information in, everything was wiped clean for as all our conversations, everything with DJ. It was like I never even talked to him.
Wow. So who would have wiped them clean? Would that have been a detective?
Well, when the TBI come up there and downloaded all of it off my phone, I'm assuming that they done away with what was on my phone, so I couldn't be sharing it with other people or whatever. I'm assuming. I'm a guess. Right. I don't know, but right. I just know it was no longer there. There was a couple. I mean, he didn't delete that I hadn't talked to him, Dennis. He still left up a few little things like discussing halfway house that he had. I texted him a couple of times, like your mail's here or you've got a package that's been delivered, because I pretty much run a lot of the halfway house when I was there, doing a lot of their drug screens and stuff for drug court. And
where is the halfway house? Okay. I'm trying to figure out, and I'm not saying that anyone at the halfway house is responsible for Summer. He keeps bringing up Dennis and the halfway house. How far is it away from where Summer disappeared, which I believe was somewhere in that holler? Whether it's straight from her house or she was disposed of on the way home. Some people say it's the shed, that she was told to sit in the shed and someone picked her up. Well, I'm hearing about all these cameras, and now we're talking about halfway houses. Does anyone know? Maybe ICU knows. Where on earth is this damn halfway house? Because this rabbit hole is just really doing nothing but giving me a headache. I mean, and as far as them wiping your phone clean, and he says, and I mean, I don't know why, probably so I can't share that stuff with other people. They told you why. They told you why.
Stuff at 5 o'clock in the mornings and stuff. And so the reason Dennis actually left, he OD'd and stuff, and we was getting ready to try to get him into an inpatient, and he took off.
Right. So let me ask you a question. You know, you mentioned that, you know, you got a friend that's in jail or that's talking about how they'll keep pulling Dennis Smith out. They keep pulling Dennis Samuel Smith out and saying they're taking him upstairs to talk about Summer Wells. Mm-hmm. See, I've heard that again from somebody else, too, that's got people in jail, and they're collaborating your story there.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just going by what
the hell he talking about. He's got friends in jail that are, he said, collaborating. Ernie said collaborate. Okay, Vanilla Ice, this isn't collaborate and listen. You mean cooperate. So who's telling Ernie that dudes in jail are corroborating Fred's story? What the F is going on? And Bonnie's journey, I agree with you 100%. All those damn cameras and nowhere was Summer recorded. Nah. What did Grace say? I've got something in all caps. Oh, Burns Avenue, Knoxville, Tennessee. Okay, thank you, my friend.
Talking to at the aquatic center, supposedly on the 15th between 11 and 11:30, discussing the DCS paperwork and stuff. And it was a blonde-headed woman and another woman, what I'm told, from pretty good, reliable source. And she had several children with her, all about Summer's age, all girls.
Really?
And see, one of the phone calls, Ziggy had talked to Dawn, I don't know, it was back in December, I think it was. We finally got him to talk for a minute, and I asked to speak to Candace, and, Ziggy was talking to him, and I said, can I talk to Candace? He said, well, she's right here. And I'm like, Candace, who was that you talked to at the aquatic center on the 15th about the DCS stuff? She said, oh, that wasn't on the 15th. She did talk to a woman, but it wasn't on the 15th, is what she tried to say. And then she wouldn't say no more about it. Because, I sent you that document of the other day that we didn't know what was what. We thought it was all made up. We actually sent that to Don, try to get a response, see what he thought, and he just ignored it,
Don's not going to tell you shit. Neither is Dennis the Menace down in the halfway house. None of these people are going to tell you and Ziggy shit because you have made it clear that you inform the authorities. That's what happens. I'm not saying Fred's doing anything wrong at all. He should be turning things in. But when you say it publicly, they're not going to tell you anything. Who in their right mind would be like, cool, Fred, glad you called. Okay, so this is what I found out about Dawn, but you didn't hear it from me. Okay, you didn't hear it from me. I mean, this started out and he told Ernie, and I'm recording you, which is smart. It's smart. But I'm telling you, Ernie's mind is probably about freaking blown, okay? That hamster on the wheel probably lost many ounces right now because Ernie's about to blow his freaking mind, hearing about halfway houses, Fred giving drug tests at the halfway houses. I mean, Dennis, Josh lives where the milk video was taken. All this shit is going to blow. He's not talking about the cemetery anymore. He said, I'm on that cemetery deal. Fred's like, yeah. Oh, it could be. And then he starts talking about all this stuff.
Right.
Now we're hearing about Candace talking about some blonde-haired lady at the DCS office with a bunch of girls around Summer's age. Oh, Lord, where's all this coming from?
That's when you say that's really, really like a tall like sign. Like these guys, they doing stuff to cover things up. Do you believe that?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it could be. But I can give you a name to take and try to get a hold of that was at the aquatic center that supposedly witnessed Candace and them being there.
Okay, so before you give me this name, I'm going to pause this.
We have a cliffhanger. Ernie said, before you give me this name, I'm gonna pause this. Woo! What could the name be? Radio God said, let's check his movie watch history. Well, we know a few movies they don't watch. One would be the movie Ransom with Mel Gibson. One would be the series that Liam Neeson did that said he has special skills and no one's going to F with his family. Another one would be Cape Fear with Nick Nolte, because I'm telling you, they don't exactly have special skills. No.
That way.
Okay.
Okay, it's Paul right now. Go ahead and give me the name.
And
okay.
I noticed a phone call had come through, and I called her back, and she's like, she acted like she didn't even know Candace and stuff. And she's like, I've seen that little girl and her mother and grandmother at the aquatic center, which is a water park right before you get to, it's at the end of Reservoir Road before you get to Priceless at Wilcox. See, Priceless is on the other side of Wilcox. The water park and stuff's on this side of Wilcox at the end of Reservoir Road on the left.
Oh yeah, I'm very, very, very familiar with those, all those areas.
And then you got Hunter saying something about a water park. They supposed to went by a water park. But way Abby talked, though, that the woman, the conversation she heard of Candace was talking to that woman about the CPS and stuff. And then the woman that she was talking to was supposed to be out of, I'm trying to think if she said Indianapolis or Mindianapolis. And that's where they was going back to.
Is this the water park Fred is talking about? Because this is Candace and Grandis on June 18th, 2021. Look at that shit-eating grin on Candace's face. She's loving it. I don't know who the hell Grandis ran into, because this is the same day that Don went and confronted Dudley to give him his $300. He talked to Jeff Bobo from the Rogersville Review, and they went to the water park.
But she allowed that Candace and Summer and Grandis left back together, but that don't mean they didn't go somewhere else. See, I turned this into law enforcement, so I don't know where it went from there. Like I told law enforcement, I said, it'd be easy confirmation. Only thing you got to do is go and pull the footage. There's surveillance of that day.
Right. So I mean, there's a lot of ways that we can verify this when you say that.
Yeah. But I mean, if it is got something to do with DCS or whatever, like Don and him wants to say, I try to keep an open mind. I don't try to take into say where
The whole Joe Biden border crisis, DCS is not what happened to Summer. Okay? If they had heeded CPS's warning when they started buzzing around, this wouldn't have gone on. None of this would have gone on. None of it. She's missing. There was no ghost. There was no rabid dog. There was no coyote. There was no bear. But I go back to what was said earlier in the chat. You've got all these cameras. Fred's talking about how many cameras all these people have. Okay? We've had a theory for a long time. Summer never made it home. But Candace left 2 more times that day. And she was a little pissed off when TBI said, well, we know you left 2 more times that day. Well, what would that be from? Geofencing? Or were they getting neighbors' cameras? The only camera that wasn't working that day, according to her, was Jody Sue, because she said Dawn stole the SD card.
know for a fact this is what happened, because I don't know for a fact this is what happened. There's many possibilities of things that could have happened. I mean, it could have been abduction. It could have been an accident. It could have been a drug debt. I mean, it could have been a variety of things. We got to look at it at the whole perspective, not just as, hey, listen, this is, and it not be it, you know?
Right. But you know, you being around the law enforcement that's with this now,
yeah.
And I believe you have knowledge, you know, more than anybody else would, because I mean, you're the one sitting in there for hours and hours and hours and interrogating, right?
I never was interrogated.
Well, I mean, you was sitting in there you said you was down there for hours and hours, and they was talking to you.
Oh, with the Dennis Smith stuff, yeah. I mean, we was going over maps and all that, you know.
I believe that right there, you know, alone tells a story.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you,
but
you know, they're going after that.
See, I think Scott's hands got tied at first. They was desperate wanting to get Dawn and Candace at first.
Scott Stewart, my understanding was not a detective. He was on the drug task force, so he should be very well aware as to what goes on. I read somewhere that he actually arrested Fred for drugs. I have no reason not to believe it. I haven't heard Fred say it. And as far as wanting to get Dawn and Candace that bad, I still don't understand why. They have had so many problems talking to them, because Ronnie Lawson said he's always thought they know more, and they just haven't gotten a chance to really talk to him that much. As in, they are not cooperating.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you, Fred. I've got a live here in about 20 minutes, and you're more than welcome to watch it. I do appreciate you for answering that. And if I have some following questions, is this okay if we do it like this from here on out?
Yes, we can do it like this at any time. Anytime you have any questions, I mean, just like other creators and stuff. I just don't like going in a lot of chats and stuff, because a lot of people don't like Z, or a lot of people just don't like me, or whatever the case is, and then they just start attacking for no reason just because they don't like you, whether you're speaking back for bullshit, you know. And then a lot of people, you go in certain chats, and then somebody see you in there that they don't like you being over there in that chat or that chat, and then they start contacting all the mods and threatening them and this and this. It's all a fake game, you know. So I try.
I know how that works.
I try to be respectful and not even go in people's chat. I mean,
I don't blame him for that, and I think it's just damn right stupid when someone has some information and people feel, you know, the need to be all like, you know, Billy Badass with them. It's like, you know, you're not going to get any information, whatever the info might be, if you piss people off. It just doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way.
It's like when Andy was up there and stuff, I didn't want to go in chat because I wanted him to be not feel intimidated because I was in chat. I wanted him to be able to speak freely. But just like him saying that me and him have been into it like the day before or something, me and Andy's never been into it. We've never had a crossword. Just like Don, he let on like, oh, he come to my house, kick my door in. It didn't even happen like that. Don's never even raised his voice at me, and I've never raised my voice at Don. I mean,
so why would he just? So do you believe Don just puts things in people's mind to think that makes him think that he's doing something?
They say little shit to make yourself try to look big, I guess. I don't know. My opinion. That's just like when I got out of the halfway house, and actually I started staying in the bean station a little bit. Then I got permission to start staying on Reservoir Road, about 3 miles from Jody, at my other sister's, and well, at my sister's, my oldest sister. But while I was there mowing and stuff, Andy come by, and then I mean, I just stopped. He kept hollering online that I better stay in my lane and stuff. I guess because I mentioned him. Only thing I've mentioned really about Andy is him being on the road, and he's allowed to be on that road, you know. But it just what makes it odd is why I lie about it, and law enforcement knows you on that road.
Someone is going to have to explain this to me in obviously a different language. I thought I understood English pretty well. Why is it a big deal where Andy goes? He said he had permission to live with his sister. He was mowing the yard. Andy drove by. What the hell does it matter that he was on the road the day that Summer went missing? He lives on that effing road. Why is there such a hard on for what Andy does? Is Andy a great guy? I don't know. Has he dabbled in the rugs? Sounds like it. Fred can't judge that. No. Jody can't judge that. She had 2 kids with him. You can't tell me she wasn't in the shit. So what's it matter? I was mowing the yard at my sister's house and Andy drove by. Again, why? Explain why it's a big deal. Explain. And if there's all these cameras, there's nothing to lie about.
Even though people want to say, oh, he was at work. Yeah, he was at work most of that day, but there was a short time period he wasn't at work, for a fact. And then when you working with somebody you're moving guns, drugs, everything else for, you think they're going to take and tell what's going on there? No. And then why did that van pull up with all them little girls in it at Andy's work, you know, and offer them for sale?
No, whoa, wait a minute. You said
Were these Girl Scouts selling cookies? Or did a van seriously pull up at Andy's work and they offered little girls for sale? Listen to this again.
And he's allowed to be on that road.
Yeah. Allowed to be on any fucking road. Unless, like, the president lives there, or certain members of Senate and Congress, or a Supreme Court justice. He can take this is crazy.
You know, but it just what makes it odd is why I lie about it, and law enforcement knows you on that road. Even though
is he supposed to tell Fred his coming and goings?
People want to say, oh, he was at work. Yeah, he was at work most of that day, but there was a short time period he wasn't at work, for a fact. And then when you working with somebody you're moving guns, drugs, everything else for, you think they're going to take and tell what's going on there? No. And then why did that van pull up with all them little girls in it at Andy's work, you know, and offer them for sale?
Well, now this would be something that law enforcement would be interested in. So I'm not sure how many people are at Andy's work. We hear a lot about Andy's work, Andy's time card, that the TBI got his time card. We've heard all of that stuff. Now we're hearing that at his work, never mind what road Andy's been on, somebody pulled up in a van and offered to sell children. Oh my God. How would you even start that conversation?
No, whoa, wait a minute. You're saying that there was a van?
That's what Andy told us. It's on the live stream that there's a white van pulled up and somebody else worked on the van. Then they must for him to come over to the van and had some young girls in offering them for sale. They were scared to death. And he brought up a name Stoney, and then that kind of Stoney's got connections in Knoxville. He's a Mason, and I don't know how he is even a Mason.
Oh, wow. So what happened to the girls?
I don't know. I mean, Andy's the one brought it up on live stream one night.
Well, are we talking about, was they underage girls or were they just women?
Yeah, they was underage girls.
He said girls, Ernie. Had a van full of girls pulled up to have the van worked on. The girls are scared to death. And offered Andy that he could buy one of the girls. Come on. And that Andy said it on a live stream. I don't know what live stream, because this is the first I'm hearing of it. Maybe someone else in here has heard it. Why didn't Andy just say, let me just fix your truck and then call 911? There's a bunch of girls in this van, and this dude wants me to buy one of them.
The way he talked, young girls, he said. But,
oh, wow.
But nobody's going to pull up at nobody's work site like that and say, hey, you come here a minute, you want to purchase some of these girls in here and them scared to death, like what Andy said, they look like they scared to death. Unless you done been in that game. There ain't nobody going to roll up like that at a workplace, especially. I could see like maybe on a street or something other. But you roll up at a certain place where they're like at Hayworth, where they're changing their tires and stuff, and say, hey, come here. When you know that everything's going to be on camera and all that, it don't make sense.
No, it don't.
Do you something about Stoney,
If that happened anywhere around here, that dude would get his ass kicked. And it would have been, run, girls. Run in this office right now, and I'm calling the police. This shit's so crazy.
And then
was this after Summer went missing?
The live stream was, yes, that he went up and told that, but I don't know what day that day was actually supposed to be an active work.
Okay.
But see, the third day after, let's see, the 15th, 16th, 17th, I didn't record the 18th, but I was down there and at the end of Andy and Jody's driveway, and they act like they was into it kind of when I got there, and Andy put that black and white pit bull in the back of the Kia, and he pulled out, and that was the last time I seen Andy for 21 days, and I run into him at Zoomers again. I was getting gas, and he's like, yeah, I've been out of town working at, I'm wanting to think he said Ripley's, running a train ride, and he mentioned he said, I said, yeah, I ain't seen him in a while. He says, yeah, it's been about 21 days at that.
Wouldn't that be around the time that him and Jody broke up and she got a protective order against him? And she kept calling him like Baltimore, something like that. Then he has a girlfriend and she kept calling her coleslaw.
Point, so. And then that's when Jody got mad and put that time card up and tried to say, oh, he was still at work at Hayworth all that week, you see. And then on Tuesday, which was supposed to be the 15th, it showed him checking in and out in the AM. Never checking out, And then the rest of the days before it, he checked in the AM and out in the PM. And like Wednesday, Thursday, and on morning and evening he checked out. But that Pacific day, it showed him just checking in the AM and out in the AM. Never checking back.
And you're talking about the day Summer went missing, right?
Yes.
Okay. So let me ask you a question. Where does Grandis fit in any of this? And give me a few minutes, but go ahead and talk about Grandis and where she fits in, and I'll be right back with you, okay?
Well, I don't really know much about Grandis. I don't think she really even knew what was even happening, to be honest. I don't think they let her know nothing. Yeah, I don't know nothing about Grandis really, or I've not really heard nobody around that area even really mention Grandis.
You know, Grandis is the only person that I could think Candace would cover for. True story. That's the only one. I know people have theories, you know, that she's covering for one of the kids. There was an accident. Covered for Hunter because he accidentally did something. Candace is a very, very self-absorbed, selfish person. But when it comes to her mother, it's a different story. Like, she'll talk all kinds of mad shit about Dawn. But with her mother, it's always different. Well, that was a lot. Okay? I should have broke that up into 2 parts. And I apologize that I didn't. Absolutely insane. Absolute insanity. What we just heard. Okay? I mean, my mind is blown. Freaking van pulling up at Hayward's where Andy works. Saying, you know, a bunch of girls in a van, you want to buy one, and the guy wanted the van worked on. That's insane. You know, some of these people, and I'm not talking about Fred because he's repeating a story. They live in a different realm of reality. I don't know if they have meth memory or they purposely play the look over there, not over here game. I don't know. But we have another big show tomorrow, probably 2. I'm going to go real early. I'm going to recap what happened today with Lindsay Clancy. They're back in court. And then we're going to have a show about Jack and Lily. You do not want to miss that. So on your way in, on your way out, please give it a like. And if you feel so inclined, please hit the hype and always leave a comment because I want to know what you think. Because you guys are the absolute best. Love ya. See you over in Discord or one of the Facebook groups.